Hello everyone, welcome to Tales of Light. What if everything that held you back was only a story you kept telling yourself? This is the story of a boy who stopped listening to those stories, and found something quiet, fierce, and true inside. Stay with me. You'll want to hear how one small brave choice changed everything. Eli grew up in a quiet town. Not a bad town. Just one where nothing strange happened. He lived above a little bakery. His mother worked mornings to bake bread. His father fixed cars down the street. They were kind. They loved him. But Eli was small in his own mind. He felt easy to forget. At school he rarely spoke first. He raised his hand once in a while. He watched others with a gentle envy. They seemed sure. They joked. They tried things and failed and laughed. Eli rehearsed what to say in his head, then swallowed the words. He worried about being wrong. He worried about being noticed. He loved to build things. Tiny models. Little worlds made of cardboard, string, and imagination. He'd sit at his bedroom window and invent slow machines that could carry paper boats across puddles. In scribbles across the margins of his notebooks he wrote ideas, inventions, short stories, small plans. He kept them secret, like seeds. One afternoon, while helping his father in the garage, a neighbor boy named Jonah asked Eli a question. "Why don't you ever enter the science fair?" Jonah asked, tossing a wrench up and down. Simple question. Eli shrugged. "I'm not good at big things," he said. It came out smaller than he felt. Jonah laughed softly. "You always draw those crazy machines. Why not try?" Eli looked at his hands. "What if I fail?" We know that feeling. The voice that points to the edge and whispers, "Stay safe." It's quiet, but heavy. For Eli, that voice had a name, doubt. It had a tone. It lived in the folds of his thoughts. It told him stories, that he wasn't brave, that other kids were better, that failure meant something about who he was. That evening, Eli sat on his bed and opened his notebook. He traced a sketched pulley system he'd been thinking about for months. He had an idea that could make his paper boats move without touching them, a tiny wind-driven motor. It was messy on the page. But when he looked at it, he felt a small warmth. Not confidence. Just possibility. He decided, quietly, to himself, to try. Not to prove anyone wrong. Not even to prove himself to himself. Just to see what would happen. The school announced the science fair. Posters went up. The auditorium buzzed. Eli signed up and felt his stomach fold in on itself. He worked after school. He glued, wired, and tied. His hands smelled of paper and glue and determination. But doubt did not leave. It became louder. A classmate, Maya, teased kindly at first. "Is that a wind motor made of cardboard?" she asked, laughing with friends. Eli heard laughter like tiny pebbles. He imagined judges scoffing. He pictured the motor breaking in front of everyone. The voice inside whispered, "You'll look silly. You'll be exposed." He almost quit 3 times. He thought of not showing up. He thought of throwing the model away and going home to watch TV like the other kids. He wanted the easy path. His heart wanted safety. Then something small happened. Mrs. Alvarez, his science teacher, saw him soldering a small coil by the lamp after school. She stayed quiet for a moment and watched. "You've been working hard," she said softly. "Do you want to practice your explanation with me?" Eli stammered. He was terrible at explaining things. But he tried. He spoke haltingly about gears and wind capture. She nodded, patient, asking questions that made him think clearer. She didn't laugh. She listened. Her attention did something simple and enormous. It made Eli feel seen. Not for grades. Not for judgment, but for the trying. On the day of the fair, Eli's hands shook. His model looked fragile beside the polished projects with bright lights and motors bought online. Kids with big presentations pointed and smiled. There were grown-ups with clipboards. The room smelled of glue, pizza, and nervous energy. Eli set his little motor on the table. He taped a tiny sail to a spool. He breathed. Someone bumped the table and a paper wheel nearly flew off. His heart leaped. He imagined walking out. Then a gust of air from the open windows moved the sail. The wheel spun. It was small. But it moved. Eli's voice caught when he started to explain. He whispered how wind could be harnessed with simple parts. He showed how the pulley reduced friction. He felt his words come haltingly at first, then stronger. People leaned in. A child pressed a finger to the table, eyes wide. Not everyone clapped. Some kids smirked. A judge scribbled notes, then looked up, eyebrows raised in interest. Eli wanted to run. But a knot inside had loosened. He kept talking. Afterward, a boy from another school came over. "That sail trick was cool," the boy said. "How did you get the spool to spin like that?" Eli explained, and realized he knew it. He felt a little proud. He left the fair without a trophy. He left with something quieter. A view of himself that included effort. A tiny room for possibility. Still, the voice of doubt returned at home. "You didn't win," it said. "Why did you bother?" Eli sat on his bed and stared at his notebook. He remembered the nod from Mrs. Alvarez and the child's wonder at his table. He remembered the small spin of the wheel. He decided, slowly, to be kinder to that small version of himself who tried. A few weeks later, the class announced a town invention showcase. This time, people from the bakery, the garage, and nearby streets came. Eli felt nervous in a different way. This time it wasn't only school kids. This time it was from his world. He nearly didn't go. The voice, louder now, said, "You'll be exposed. They'll point to your cardboard and smirk." His father saw the hesitation. "You going?" his father asked, wiping grease from his hands. Eli shrugged. "I don't know." "Try," his father said. "You like making things, right? Let them see that." Eli carried his project to the town hall. The room smelled like coffee and fresh dough from the bakery. He set up the same little wind motor. People wandered by, polite. Then Mrs. Alvarez introduced him to a small group. "This is Eli," she said. "He made this." A woman from the community center asked questions. A neighbor who fixed cars admired the clever pulley. His father stood at the back, arms folded, watching. Then a boy Eli recognized from earlier science fairs came closer, the boy who had bought motors online. He looked at Eli's cardboard and raised an eyebrow. People smiled skeptically. Eli's throat tightened. For a moment he froze. Then a little girl tugged at her mother's sleeve and pointed. "Look, Mama. It moves," she said. The crowd's attention shifted. The little wheel spun again. Eli breathed out and explained, this time with a steadier voice. He told them how small ideas can do big things. He showed how a simple change in pulley size saved energy. Someone in the crowd asked, "Could that work for a tiny water pump?" Eli thought and nodded. He found himself answering clearly. People nodded back. Then, a man who ran a local maker space approached. He crouched down to Eli's level and said, "Want to show me how you built this?" Eli's palms sweated. He demonstrated, patient and sure. The man smiled and asked, "Would you like to teach a workshop here?" Eli blinked. The room blurred for a second. The voice of doubt tried to come back, but it sounded thinner. He had answered a question with skill. He had shown curiosity and calm. He felt something waking up, a quiet confidence that learned from trying, not from always being right. That night, at dinner, his father told a neighbor. The neighbor told someone else. The makerspace put a note on the town board. A small voice inside Eli had called itself brave, and the town began to echo it back. Eli did not become perfect overnight. He still had moments of doubt. He still hesitated sometimes. But something changed. The story he told himself started to change. Instead of saying, "I'm not brave," he learned to ask, "What happens if I try?" Instead of treating failure like proof, he treated it like data, a small clue to fix the next thing. He learned to be curious about mistakes, not ashamed. He kept his notebook and filled it, page after page, with experiments and tiny failures and small wins. He shared his models at the makerspace. He taught kids how to make wind-driven toys. He saw faces light up when a simple idea worked. He learned to enjoy the process more than the applause. The moral is simple, and simple doesn't mean small. Self-belief grows from small brave acts, not giant leaps. Belief is not a single lightning strike. It is a series of tiny lights you choose to carry. Each one faint at first, then brighter when you act. The world often waits quietly, ready to reflect back the image you hold of yourself. When you show up with small courage, the world learns to treat you with more of the same. So, if you are sitting there thinking you're not ready, try a small thing today. Make a sketch. Say one sentence. Enter a tiny challenge. Let the act shape you. Let the trying teach you. The first spin of the wheel is enough to start a story. This is not just Eli's story. It is every small story of someone who learned that belief is an action more than a feeling. It is for the person who is tired of waiting for the perfect moment. It is for the one who thinks they are too small, too slow, or too late. Start with one small brave thing today. Write it down. Try it without guarantees. Tell one person. Teach one small idea. Let the world respond, sometimes gently, sometimes loudly. Let that response teach you how to keep going. Remember, the most important voice in your life is the one you feed. Feed it with small acts. Feed it with evidence. Feed it with the quiet work of trying. If Eli's quiet courage moved you, please do one thing: try a small brave act today. Then come back and tell me about it in the comments. If this story gave you a little spark, like the video, comment your small brave act below, share it with a friend who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Tales of Light for more stories that quietly change the heart. Thank you for listening. Keep trying. Keep believing.